Hello guys, Omni here. Just wrapped up the first part of Crisis on Infinite Earths. We got 2 more until it goes on hiatus for the conclusion to return at the end of January, and this kicks off so insane. A lot of things I didn't expect, some things that I had seen been rumored, we finally got some confirmations on, which is awesome. If you've seen any of my reviews before, or if you're new here, I do go into spoilers with these kind of things when we're breaking down these episodes, so if you haven't seen tonight's episode, be sure to tune out. Come back once you've seen it. And we're going to dive into spoilers right now because there's a lot of things that I want to talk about. So we know after the end of Arrow and Flash last week, we saw the red skies approaching, the antimatter wave is on its way, Crisis has begun. So it picks up where our Earths, at least in the Arrowverse, are still currently safe. We get to see some at the beginning of this event that were not so safe. So the very first one is Earth 89, where we get to see Robert Wuhl playing his character of Alexander Knox from the Batman 89 film starring Michael Keaton on a bench, and you even hear the Batman theme. And he's reading a newspaper, and it's talking about Batman on the cover of the newspaper, and then that universe is wiped away. The next Earth, we get Earth 9 in San Francisco, and we get to see the Titans. We only get a glimpse of Jason Todd and Hawk from the DCU Titans, wiped away in a flash. We cut over to Earth X from the Crisis on Earth X crossover event. We see Ray fighting through a bunch of things, and then an antimatter wave just overtakes them. We cut to Earth 66, which right in the title of the name is the 66 Batman series. We see Burt Ward, who was Robin, Dick Grayson with the Adam West series, walking his dog, and he, right before everything flashes away and is erased by the antimatter wave, holy crimson skies of death! I died. I lost it. After that slow rollout of these alternate Earths that we got to play around in for just a brief moment, just further confirming what we've all been saying for such a long time, even the people that do not like the Arrowverse, strictly stick to the movies, well, too bad. DC is DC. If it existed in the DC universe, it's somewhere in here. Keaton's Batman, Christopher Reeve's Superman, Titans, it's all part of the same universe, so sorry, get over it. But we cut back to Earth 38, Supergirl is saving a bunch of things, the dragon from a previous episode is just kind of roaming around, terrorizing people because it's freaking out, because it's like animals do when something tragic or a crisis or a natural disaster is coming, they tend to perk up, freak out, and react and try to get away. So she's trying to prevent it from wreaking havoc all on its own. We get a little cameo from Will Wheaton holding a doomsayer sign with "The doom is in this name." And then everybody starts to convene back at the DEO and talk about what is going on here. And they're getting these readings from this wave. The earthquakes are not coming from the Earth itself, but from the universe. They talk about how that's impossible. John appears at the DEO and talks about how, the Monitor has been testing them, brought in, and Kara questions him, how do you know about the Monitor? I thought he was from Earth 1. And he's like, he's from every Earth. And then we pass over to Argo, and we get to see Jonathan Kent, baby Jonathan Kent. Some cute little moments here with, I think this is more of a preview of what we're going to see in like the the Superman and Lois show that is going to be coming, starring Tyler Hoechlin and Elizabeth Tulloch. Because we get some of that banter, that parental banter, where it's like, oh, here on Argo, Superman doesn't have powers, so he's struggling to change a diaper, and she's just giving him some heck about it, and it's really cute, adorable. And then the skies turn red. Kara sends like a Star Wars-esque hologram to try to warn them to get out. We get a nice little homage to just the story of Superman, and as well as a little homage to the Alexander Luthor from the comic in this situation. They put baby Jonathan in the same kind of pod rocket that took them to Earth, set it for course to Earth, and launch it away, thinking that they're not going to be able to get out of it. But while that's happening, Kara back on Earth sees the antimatter wave overtake Argo. So they think, of course, that Clark and Lois are gone, erased. We cut to Harbinger popping in through different places in Earth 1, recruiting people. We also see that Lila was able to make it to Argo and take Clark and Lois away and bring them to Earth to convene with all the other heroes from Earth 1, as well as the DEO team and Supergirl team here on Earth 38. To make their stand. It's kind of revealed that these quantum towers, as they call it, have been established on key worlds. and that they are designed by the Monitor to kind of hold off the antimatter wave. So they try to defend it as long as they can. They create a plan to try to evacuate the Earth and get everybody to the end of the universe to try to get them the longest amount of time to survive this wave coming in. And this is the first time we get a mention of the AntiMonitor, where Lila Harbinger talks about, you know, if once the AntiMonitor detects that these installations are holding back the antimatter wave, he's going to send his forces, these shadow demons, his army, to kind of try to figure out what is holding it back. Brainy, in the meantime, Clark tries to figure out, can we figure out, I sent Jonathan's ship here. Did he make it? Did he land? I don't know where he would have landed from here. And they find out that his ship had intersected with a wormhole, transporting in not just to another Earth, but to another time, to Earth 16 in 2046. So we divide up the team, and Brainy, Lois, and Sarah decide to go to that Earth to try to find Jonathan, because Superman is needed here with Kara and the rest of the heroes to try to stave off AntiMonitor's army. In their preparation, Oliver takes me aside and just has a nice, sweet little moment where, of course, he's saying his goodbye. This is the passing of the torch. He's gifting her own super suit. He says this nice little line is like, there should always be at least one Green Arrow. And, you know, it got me touched up just a little bit. Before Oliver leaves Mia, he tells her to try on the suit. He needs to go find Barry, and he goes to talk to Barry. And they kind of play catch up on where they were last time. Barry tells him about the newspaper and how Monitor had confirmed to him that he dies in Crisis. And in that moment, Oliver, you can see the frustration and anger in his eyes, because he's been doing all of this and made this deal, and the thought and the mindset that his decision to do this would save Barry from all of this. And he starts yelling and demanding to see the Monitor. And he's transported to that little, like, Final Destination little world that we saw them convene on, and the Elseworlds crossover. And he talks to him, what is this about Barry disappearing in Crisis? I made this deal with you to save his and Kara's life. And he's like, you did. That was last year. You saved them then. We need them now, and this is a much bigger thing. I can't guarantee their safety here in this, basically, is what he's getting at. Meanwhile, the team is trying to figure out how they're going to evacuate the planet. They're gathering people in alien ships. Brainy brings one of the Left Behind Legion ships that was still on Earth, and they're trying to get people onto it, load people onto those ships. They need to have a transmatter gate built like they did one of the previous seasons, so the only person they think could do that is Lena. So they go and approach Lena to have her build that. Of course, she gives the same speech she's been giving all season, blah, blah, blah. You are lied to me, blah, blah, blah. You're evil because you lied and you had, you know, things bigger than yourselves and me to worry about. But I'm poor old little sad Lena, blah, 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 blah. My notes just say F you, Lena. Anyway, we pan over to Earth 16 and we find Lois, Brainy, and Sarah coming across a tattered down version of Oliver's bunker. And they're like, of course, what are the chances it would be at Oliver's bunker? And Brainy was just like, it didn't initially land here, but this is where I tracked Jonathan to. So they assume that maybe Oliver saved Jonathan and brought him here. And then they are confronted with a little fight between Sarah and what we can see as a Green Arrow, wondering who it is, if it's going to be an alternate Oliver, is this going to be somebody else on this Earth is the Green Arrow? And it's Oliver. It's an old Oliver, because we're in 2046 in this world, and he's lived a much harsher life, and you can see it on his face. They do this like aging makeup on him that they've done. It's a little better than some of the aging makeup we've seen before. So, but he has this sweet, eerily sad moment when he sees Sarah and realizes who it is, and he's like, "You died on the Gambit. I got to be losing my mind." And they have this little moment, and she talks about how she got to do all of these amazing things because she made that decision. He was part of her life. She went on the Gambit, and maybe that didn't work out for the Sarah on this Earth, but because of those decisions, if she was anything like this Sarah, it was her decision, not Oliver's, to bring her onto that. So he has no reason to feel guilty for that. It was kind of like her goodbye to Oliver, her reconciling her entire existence and arc with Oliver here in this moment with a different version of him. And she tells him, on every Earth, you are a great hero. Anyway, back on Earth, the team is fighting the Spectres, the demons from the AntiMonitor's army, trying to hold him off from destroying the Quantum Tower while the humanity tries to evacuate Earth. Superman and Supergirl, since apparently the Quantum Tower is solar powered, so they decide to go up and flood their solar energy into it. And of course, being Supergirl, Superman falls first and Supergirl holds out, still flooding some energy. At least this time I can kind of give in to it because he had been on Argo for about a year, more than a year now, without his powers under a red sun. He had only come back to Earth just moments before. He's not fully recharged. He doesn't have that much solar energy. So that's going to be at least my way of just explaining this away, because I don't like how they always have to take shots at this Superman. I don't like it. Anyway, down on the ground, everybody's fighting now. Supergirl and Superman have joined the fight down on the ground with everybody else. And in that moment, Monitor shows up and is like, the battle is lost. We're losing this Earth. The planet is lost. We need to save our resources and reconvene. And he starts portaling everybody out until it gets down to Oliver. And he's like, are you ready? This world is lost. We got to go. And Oliver's like, is the planet evacuated? That's where we get the scene from the trailer. And he's like, not entirely. And then Oliver says, then it's not time. And he shoots Monitor with this arrow that seems to paralyze him momentarily. And Oliver just barges in, taking out these wraiths one at a time until he gets knocked back and realizes he's out of arrows completely. And just in true heroic fashion, just to stave off and keep fighting till the last person is off the planet, Oliver just throws down his bow and just goes at them fists first. And that's the last we see of it. We cut back the bunker and we see everybody in the Earth 1 bunker just kind of holding up and wondering what's going on until you see a Monitor appear and Oliver on the table dying. This is where Oliver dies. This is what they're wanting us to believe right now. We get a line from Monitor says, this is not the end that I foresaw for Oliver. Things aren't happening as I foresaw. And then you see Nash arrive as Pariah. And at least my theory, and it's not even like that much of a stretch if you know anything from the comic and how Pariah plays into this whole story, his vendetta with Monitor about him taking on these false gods and all of that led him to be the one that freed AntiMonitor and unleashed it onto the world. And that line from the trailer where Pariah says that everything we know is doomed is where the episode ends. There's no way they're killing Oliver in the first episode of the crossover. I even started to watch a little bit into Crisis Aftermath with one of the writers on there with Kevin Smith, Kat McNamara. I can't remember everybody else that was on the show from where I kind of tuned out because I wanted to go ahead and make this. They talked about how, yeah, it's pretty shocking if you kill him in the first episode of the crossover. You expect more. I mean, we still have 2 episodes left of Arrow. I know episode 9. Well, I mean, there's episode 8 of this crossover. Arrow episode 8 is the Arrow part of the crossover. Are you telling me Oliver's not going to be on it? I know they did say that he was going to be playing another role in this that was not Oliver Queen, so that's really interesting to see what that might be. Were they alluding to the old Oliver in Earth 16 or a completely different character altogether? There's a lot of people who are speculating that he might be playing Spectre because there's some teases and social media and stuff like that may be the case. I don't know. But I do not think this is the last we're going to see of Steve and Amell. I don't think this is the last we're seeing of Oliver. And I think especially since that line that Monitor says that things are not happening as he foresaw, that maybe everything we've been trying to kind of preparing for emotionally leading up to this event is not going to play out the way we've been told. And a lot of people, of course, myself included, have kind of expected that. I thought we were going to be going along the lines of one of those storylines where Monitor's telling people the things that they need to hear to fight for things, which kind of goes back to the conversation he has with Oliver earlier in this episode in his little like dark dimension. You need to stop keeping things from me. You need to tell me what's going on so I know what to plan for. And he's like, me not telling you what to plan for means you're going to plan for every possible possibility. And that is the best that I can do for our survival. So if he kind of the same thing, he's like, he's not telling him because by not telling him, Oliver's ingenuity, his frantic mind, his strategic mind is going to be preparing for any possible outcome. If he were told a specific thing, he would avoid all those different angles and focus on that one thing. So I kind of get it. I thought the same. I was thinking it was always going to be the same case with Barry as well, but now maybe the Monitor doesn't have any idea what's going to happen. And, you know, this was a great kickoff to it. I loved the fact that we're confirming all of these DC things are part of the same universe. Zack Snyder himself has confirmed that even the DCEU is part of the multiverse, same multiverse as the TV show. It's just what DC is. And there's the companion tie-in comic that comes out here in another week, which is going to add even more things. Some of the DC animated shows, like the original Superman cartoon, as well as, you know, the New 52 DC animated series run is going to be showing up in the comic as well. All these things that they can't do in live action or afford to do in live action, we're going to get some teases and expansions on how many different DC universes that we are familiar with are going to be part of the Arrowverse. At this point in time, it just seems like if it's DC, it's just all part of the same thing. When we think of the Arrowverse, we just think of the shows that adhere to the CW. When the Arrowverse is just a pocket corner of the greater DC universe. People need to get that in their head, because some of the people on social media just, they don't get it. They're just, it drives me insane. DC is like something completely different for a lot of people, and not just, I don't know. It blows my mind. This is like just a love letter to DC so far, and this is just the initial kickoff, and I can't wait to see where this goes from here. I really can't wait. We got 2 more episodes, and we go on hiatus until the last 2 weeks of January, until the final 2 episodes, and we got a 2-part tie-in comic that releases between December and January that will kind of fill in some gaps until then. So I can't wait. I really want to just absorb all of this, and we're going to keep on covering it. Tune back in tomorrow when we cover episode 2. And yeah, that's about all I could think of on this. This episode was just fantastic start. Surprises around every corner, and I really can't wait to see where they go from here. This is the biggest superhero TV event ever, period. And this is probably the biggest DC event, period, ever. We got a very viable, successful DC universe, which again is everything DC. Your movies too. Wake up. Anyway, that's about all I have for this video. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you're still here, support the channel by giving a like, comment, and subscribe if you want to keep following this forward with me. But that is it. I'm going to pass off the conversation to you guys, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow in the second part of Crisis on Infinite Earths. And it's going to be insane. Anyway, that's all for tonight. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Take care, everybody.